stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference.
Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. Today is Friday, September 23rd, 2022. This is episode number 428 of a show where you join me with my family on our small farm and homestead as we grow all around. A show where we co-create life together, where we talk a lot about things that are going on here on the farm and homestead, and also things that are going on out there in the community. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today, and the title of today's show is Community Support Coalition. And in addition to this show, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane, because the way in which I contributed to this little project stirred up a lot of memories within me. And I think that's some good fodder for discussion as you go on your own journey. Some of what I have to share may be applicable to you, but in order to provide some context for what I'm talking about and what the Community Support Coalition is all about, I'm going to share a message with you, and I'm just going to read it because that will help make everything make sense, okay? Now, this message comes from Brian with the Lots Project, and I saw it in the Lots Project chat on Telegram, okay? And Telegram is a great app. It works and functions just like your native messaging app platform on your smartphone, tablet, or whatever. You can use it on your desktop computer without any kind of app on your phone or anything like that, which is nice. And the file sharing, connectability, the way that groups operate, it's just a great platform. And it's still small. It hasn't been blown up with groups the size of Facebook or MeWe or other social media platforms. So anyways, I digress. In Brian's group, he shared a message that reads as follows. In my Telegram group this morning, TSP community member Eric was telling us his wife is running her first whole marathon on Saturday. He is a longtime TSP community member and outspoken about the role of TSP in his journey and also his wife's. Her story is inspirational in its own right. We had the idea to record some audio clips cheering on Kara as some inspiration if she hits a wall on her race. 26 miles is a long way, and if we can help her make it with some words of encouragement on demand, isn't it worth a few minutes of your time? Click the link and record a quick message for Kara to complete this leg of her journey. I have attached some screenshots with a little bit of context for the race. Submit a message by 6 p.m. Central Time on Friday, September 23rd. That's today, guys. The race is Saturday, September 24th. That's tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to this in the show notes. And real quick, it's anchor.fm/community-support-coalition. Okay? So that's the deal. Go to that site. And here's what I would recommend doing is go ahead and go to that site and to record a clip, and you've got 1 minute to do so, you need to create an Anchor account, okay? It's very easy to do. And create your account, then click on that link, and the process will be a little bit easier. So do this, you've got 1 minute, and just for some additional context, let me take a look at some of these screenshots and see what we hear. Eric reads, thanks brother, she's had a long road, lost 80-ish pounds this year. She gained when she really sick, started jogging, then did a few races, then did a mini this summer, and now she's testing herself with a full marathon. It was the TSP community, years of Jack's words in my ears, and fellow experts who helped this all come to fruition. Columbus, Indiana is where this is taking place, I guess. She's, I don't know. I'm not sure if I should, yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's a few screenshots. Guys, here's the deal. She's running a marathon, okay? And this is kind of cool technology. And this community of people is assembling these 1-minute messages in an effort to support her so that when she feels as though she's hitting that wall, she can pull this up and hear words of encouragement. So what I decided to do was I'm going to share my 1-minute clip with you, the same clip that I shared with her, the same clip that hopefully she will have the opportunity to hear when she hits that wall. So let's pause and take a minute and listen to that. Hey Kara, this is Rob Kaiser with the All Around Growth Podcast. I wanted to share a quick word of encouragement with you after seeing the message from Brian with the Lots Project. It wasn't all that long ago where I was literally and figuratively in your shoes on a weight loss journey of my own, on a journey that's taken me in many, many different places beyond that marathon, right? When you hit that wall, and you will hit that wall, dig deep inside, remember your why, remember everything that you're doing this for, and think about all of the training and all of the work that you did to get you to the point where you are now. Think about your why, let that drive you forward, and think about this, because this is the springboard that will move you forward into so much more in life. So when things get tough, when things get hard, remember your why, one foot in front of the other, and remember, Kara, you got this. Okay. So guys, when the going gets tough in life, whether you're running a marathon or not, think about your why. Think about what it is that motivated you and inspired you to begin doing what you're doing in the first place. Because there's going to come a time where you hit that wall. Whether you're pounding the pavement, running a marathon, or whether you're out in the field by yourself, tending to all of the crops that you're trying to manage, wondering how you're going to do it by yourself, whether you're in the warehouse, grinding it out another day, working with a bunch of jerks, or whether you're sitting behind that desk, looking at the screen again, trying to coordinate a bunch of idiots. Half the time it feels like herding cats, trying to do the work of other incompetent people that should be able to do it for themselves, but you can't, which leads you to the point where you can't even get your own work done. There comes a point where we all hit a wall, where we all are on the cusp of burnout. So why are we doing what we're doing in the first place? I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I don't know I don't know your why. But when the going gets tough, that's what we got to think about. So I decided to utilize this as the topic for today's show. Even just made it the topic of today's show because I want I want people to see what this is about. I want people to click on this link. I want people to share a 1-minute message with her. And I want people to think about why, or, whatever it is that they can share with her to help her breach that wall or break through the wall or do whatever it takes to move beyond it. So this really hits home with me because I ran a marathon as part of my own journey. And as some of you guys know, that journey over the years has included losing over 100 pounds. So what led to the point where I decided to run a marathon? Well, this is when I was living in California. And I remember when I first moved out there, I remember going for my first trail run. I geared up with my little Camelback fanny pack and had my trail running shoes, had all my gear, had my running hat and my running shirt, my running shorts, had all my stuff. And man, I couldn't make it like a half mile. I was just so, it wasn't, that was not even 12 months after where I hit rock bottom, where I was at my heaviest, where I got so winded walking up a flight of stairs to the extended stay in Chicago where I was on the road again. And I realized that something had to change. And so when I finally reached that point of burnout and navigated my career to a point where I could move out west and begin a life with the girl I was dating at that time and really make some big strides towards changing my life, that was where I was at. I couldn't even run a half a mile. And at that time, this is literally 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years ago, probably more like 11, or whenever I first moved out in California, 11, 12, yeah, 12, I don't know. But from the time it took me to realize that I wanted to do this, I couldn't even run a half a mile. Around that same time, I began listening to Dave Ramsey, during the drives in and around Chicago and to and back and forth from Chicago to the Cleveland area. Simply because I was tired of listening to the talking heads on talk radio. And Dave Ramsey was a nice alternative because it was just some guy who wasn't interested in talking about news and politics. He was talking about finance and, saving money and stuff. So eventually I heard enough of Dave Ramsey and thought, geez, this makes sense. And then I heard him share a story about how he ran a marathon. And you've seen Dave Ramsey. He's not the epitome of athleticism. He's kind of a chubby, old, bald guy. Now, granted, we're talking, this was 10, 15 years ago or longer when he actually ran his marathon. But again, he was still an older, bald guy, at least my age or older at that time. And much like I was 10, 12 years ago, just a younger version of myself. But I had more hair and was much fatter. So the reality is, I thought to myself, if this guy can run a marathon, I can run a marathon. And I decided that while I was in California, I was going to start taking steps to live my best life. And the reality is, you don't need to live in California to take steps to live your best life. You can do that exactly wherever you are. You know, our audience member out there, Rachel Jameson from rewilderlife.com, says, grow where you're planted. And that's what you got to do. You know, we can all work towards where we want to go and what we want to do in the long game, our 5-year plan, our 10-year plan. And that's our why. So when we hit the wall in life, that's what we got to think about. So from when I was at my fattest, my heaviest, my worst, my rock bottom physically, it took me a couple of years to get to the point where I could even man up enough to run that half a mile. Because in the interim, I tried to do some other things too much, too fast, you know, injured myself, IT band issues, pain in my knees. You know how it is. Oh, I'm gonna, you know, I gotta exercise more. So we go out and we try to run, except the thing is, we're like damn near 300 pounds, and we go out and try to do all this stuff. Well, we get hurt, right? So without going down this huge, crazy road, you know, I'll just share a couple of little tidbits with you, because I think this is also applicable to some of what Brian, what the Lots Project is doing as well. When I started to experience pain in running and, you know, trying to figure out how to run better and more efficiently so that I could actually succeed in my goal of running this marathon, I stumbled across something called Chi Running. And I think that's by Danny Dreyer, if I remember correctly. Regardless, I'll link to Chi Running in the show notes. And that helped me improve my form and technique and just the way in which I moved as a human, right? And so that got me started in the right direction. Nevertheless, it didn't fully help me address all of the issues that I was experiencing. So what did I do? I started running barefoot. What? Yeah. There's a book called Born to Run. And that was also a big motivator in my desire to do this. Now, I ran barefoot in a number of different ways. Oftentimes, I began running barefoot, or doing the minimalist shoe, if you will, by utilizing the Vibram Five Fingers, the toe shoes, right? Like the KSO Treks or whatever they were. And that was great. That's a good start. And but nevertheless, after reading Born to Run, I kind of got all into the Huarache sandals, and there was a Kickstarter campaign for a company called Bedrock Sandals, and they had a little, like, what was it, 4 or 6 millimeter sole and just a simple strap that went around it, and a little heel hook that was actually made out of recycled bicycle inner tubes. And it's a pretty slick sandal. And, I'm pleased to say that it was actually, by the time I had completed the marathon, you know, succeeded with my goals, which were A, finish it, and B, run. Just don't walk, but run the whole thing, no matter how long it took me, and it took me a long time, right? Man, I didn't finish this thing in like 3 hours. I didn't finish it in 4 hours. I didn't finish it in 5 hours. It took me a long time, but you know what? I ran that marathon. I didn't walk, and I completed it, and I succeeded because those were my goals. And maybe I'll do another one, and I'll have different goals, but I don't know. My life path has changed. I'm sure yours is too. But that's a little bit, you know, the whole story about the barefoot movement and this and that is just about changing your routine in order to address a problem. And I think there's a lot to be said for going barefoot. For a while, you know, I couldn't go barefoot because I worked at a commercial wholesale tree farm. There was gravel all around and pallets and trees and equipment. But what I could do was, and I needed, in a lot of jobs, I was required to wear boots too. You know, closed-toed shoes and boots. Now, Vivo Barefoot makes a great boot. Cody's a big fan of Vivo Barefoot shoes. I think he wears the Gobies. I've never worn the Gobies. I've always worn the Trackers. I own several pairs of them. And that's a good way to, you know, have... Vivo Barefoot makes a good shoe because it allows your toes to splay out. And there's also something called correct toes, which I used to wear as well in conjunction with my Injinji socks, right? So anyways, all of this, there's a whole wealth. Maybe we should just talk barefoot someday, and maybe I should start doing interviews. I don't think that would be that difficult. I just need to actually do it, because I'm sure Brian and I could have a great talk about, you know, our history and what we're currently doing with regard to the whole barefoot manner, right? So shout out to those who caught my little reference there. Anywho, guys, that's it. You know, in conclusion, I would really encourage you guys to check out the Community Support Coalition. Again, the link to that is anchor.fm/community-support-coalition. You know, give a shout out to Kara. 1 minute, that's all you need to do. It'll take you a couple other minutes to, you know, create this account in order to do so, but definitely take a few minutes of your time. Consider supporting Kara in her efforts as she runs this marathon, because, you know, this whole thing is just a result of this community that we've got. The community that I'm a part of with Brian and the Lots Project. He's a part of the community here at All Around Growth. So many of us are members of other communities, while many of us aren't. And, you know, there's this intricate web of networks that are developing, and many of which are taking place through platforms like Telegram. It's all taking place on other social media platforms, and we are present on many of those social media platforms, All Around Growth, that is. And you can find us at all of the links that are in the show notes. So I would just encourage you to check out the show notes for links to everything that was discussed today, and especially the link to the Community Support Coalition. Check that out. Give a shout out to Erin as she runs her marathon. Wish her well. Give her some words of encouragement as she hits that wall. And I would really appreciate it, you know? That's how this community works. So with that, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Got some work to do in the kitchen, some experimentation to do with some leftover produce that we couldn't quite use in all our batches. I think I'm gonna make some iteration or variation of kimchi without Napa cabbage though. So that'll be interesting. Stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll do a episode on a fermentation recipe utilizing leftovers in the kitchen. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But guys, I hope you have a great weekend ahead. Be sure to get out there, support your local farmers markets, enjoy the games you go to, enjoy the time with family and friends. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to catching up with you on Monday for the Farmers Market Recap. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.
What can I do? The needs are many and answers a few. People turn away and I wonder why. If I can help somebody, then I want to try. That I believe in friendship and love, and truth is always the best way to the world that may seem odd. I'm an odd fellow. I'm an odd fellow. Whoa, whoa. I'm an odd fellow. If we stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call. You know the times are wasting every day, and we can help some.